guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new I Don't Work Here Lady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled I Don't Work Here, but I'll Pretend I Do. Living in Japan, you will see that most of the convenience stores have either Vietnamese staff or brown staff, foreign workers from Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India, Pakistan, etc. Service jobs are greatly understaffed there, so you will mostly see one Japanese worker and multiple foreign workers at the minimum wage jobs. I, an Indian, too worked at the store Lawson for 3 years part-time during university. Back then in my third year of working I was made leader of night shift, i.e. running the whole store at night by myself. Night shift is very different from day shift. Besides serving the large number of customers, you have to sort out the accounts, record and check the inventory, liaise with supply people, deep cleaning of equipments, stocking up, cooking, etc. Fast forward to couple years later. I'm in the Japanese corporate world. Every time I go to a second-tier or third-tier city for business or tourism, going into a convenience store, I am greeted with, Otsukari-sama desu, which means, thanks for the good work, meant for coworkers instead of, irashimasu, welcome, and, mata okoshi kudasaimasu, please come again, meant for customers. Most of the times I just say Otsukari back. Sometimes when I am in a foul mood, I patiently correct them saying I don't work here. As they say in China, never slap a smiling face. Comes the main episode. I get an apartment in Azabujuban, a posh high-income district in Tokyo. Famous for being populated by white expats. 2 a.m. at night. I go to the Lawson nearby. 7-Eleven was bit nearer but am partial to Lawson. It was a big store, and full of irritated drunk salarymen and rich brats. The only employee there, Japanese, is confused, panicking, and overworked. The supply truck guy is yelling. Salarymen are yelling. It's a mayhem. The employee eyes me and yells, "Hey, took you so long. Come and help me a bit." I almost lost my temper too, but then smiled and thought, let's do this. Tomorrow's Saturday anyways. I first met up with the annoyed supply guys. They have to bring their trucks to every store in Tokyo, so staying at one store for more than a couple minutes would disrupt the whole schedule. Had the supply checked, dialed in the records, got the hanko from the usual place, stamped and finished the procedure. Next, called the taxi for the passed out people and escorted them to a safer place. Then took up the register, and in the next 10 minutes all the customers were served and the store was empty. Employee gave a huge sigh of relief, closed his eyes and got on his knees. I quietly went to stock the ice cream supply in the cold cases. My dude after a bit of a rest called, "Thanks you for the efficient help. BTW, you haven't worn your Lawson jacket yet. Could you wear it please, or it would be super unprofessional." I said, "I don't have a jacket. I don't even work here." He was like, "What? Didn't manager send you as a replacement?" I said, "Nope. I live in the apartment a block away and came here to shop." Told him I used to work in a Lawson many years ago so was familiar with the procedures. He was very embarrassed and said sorry and thank you in around 20 different phrases of polite Japanese. I was like, chill man, I'm gonna come here often, so yoroshiku ne, I'm in your care. Felt good overall as the aftermath, and taught me again as well that as a senior guy in a corporate headquarter, I must always be mindful of the mental and physical health of the people on the front lines. Must not leave them with any inadequacies as they are the ones who represent the big company to the world and do the actual work. The next story is titled Sure, that pizza will be there in no time. In my youth, my mother had a small shop selling crafts and running classes about making different crafts. I would go and help by answering the phones and checking customers out. When the number for the shop was assigned, it was only one digit off the local Domino's pizza number. This was about 35 years ago, so numbers were not saved in your phone. In most situations you just had to dial it yourself. For the first few weeks I would consistently explain, "Oh, you have reached store name. Domino's ends in a 0, we end in an 8. The vast majority of people would get it pretty quickly when a kid says that to them. The ones who didn't, I took their order. I would even write down all the information on a slip of paper and then toss it when I was done. Thanks to a few random newer phones with redial, We would get a call back about their order not being there yet. I would use the nice explanation about the number being off by 1 digit, and that would be enough. Some people just laughed it off because I was a kid. One person, not so much. He called as we were about to leave, but had not turned the answering machine on yet. On instinct I grabbed the phone and used the greeting Mom wanted everyone to use. The customer immediately starts with, "I have a coupon for the buy one get one free today. My address." I cut him off and used my standard line. He paused for about 5 seconds and then said, "Are you saying you won't accept my coupon?" I answered that he needed to call the right number. My mother and sister were standing waiting because they were ready to go and not really interested in having me waste time. Our customer now asked, "Do I need to come in with the coupon?" Again I told him where he called, that the number was 1 digit off and he should call back. The customer finally hung up and we all assumed he heard me. The rest of this was told to me by my mother. The next morning the store's answering machine was full. Same customer calling in repeatedly. Providing his address, phone number, and the order. Then calling back asking where it was. Then calling demanding a manager contact him ASAP. Apparently it kept going and the last couple messages were just 5 minutes of him saying, "Hello? Why are you not answering?" in different ways. She didn't keep the tape, which I wish she had because I really wanted to hear it, but she wiped out the messages after having a laugh. The next story is entitled Mother is Mad I Wouldn't Let Her Kids Write Their Names onto my family's driveway then allows kids to trespass into our yard. I live in with a DIY family just so you know we do everything ourselves, we even build our own furniture. My family is getting the driveway paved and I have to help and since I was kinda slacking off I had to do the rest myself and I was willing to. The rest of the family was inside but I didn't mind that I like being outside, and after all I did slack off. So as I was working, 3 girls about 10 to 12 asks if they could write their names into the concrete and I told them, no, and they walk off and come back with an adult. The moment she sees me she starts yelling at me for denying a child's childhood, and seeing as she was getting nowhere she left and I went in because I was done with the job. When I come out they're putting their names into the concrete. My dad tells them to stop so they do as they are told and leave, and we solve the problem by paving it over. 2 days later the same mom is back at 9 in the morning and she started yelling at me again calling me a monster and dream crusher for not allowing her daughter to write their names on the driveway. She leaves the house while muttering, "People these days," under her breath. She hops in her car and drives off, or so we thought. Literally an hour later, her kids are in our yard jumping on our trampoline and when I tell them to leave they say, "My mom said we could," but thankfully they listen and leave. The next thing you know their mother is back and screaming at me again so I just closed the door in her face. You could still hear her yelling, "Hey! We're not done here. Answer me." But we ignored her and she finally left. It was the last time she showed up and I have a feeling she will be back again. But I can't take her seriously, but I know I would be ready in case she comes back. The next story is titled I Was That Lady. Happened a few years ago. I was still a teenager just in college and was looking to buy a ceiling fan. When I got to the aisle there were 2 older men talking. One was explaining to the other about the fans and which would be best. When they were done, 5 to 10 minutes, I asked the man explaining if he could help me too and he said of course. 10 minutes later I had a new fan in my cart, thanked him, and started to walk away when I noticed him grab his cart and start off. I stopped and said, "You don't work here?" Should have been obvious, he wasn't wearing the blue shirt. He replied, "No ma'am," saw he was having trouble so stopped to help. I apologized profusely and told him I'd just assumed he worked there. He said he was retired but used to do that type of work and was glad to help. I was very embarrassed, but he was amazing about it and didn't mind at all. Still think about that. But he did help, and I still have the fan. The next story is titled You're My Manager and You Yelled at Me in My Face Yesterday. How do you manage to forget? This happened at work about 4 hours ago. My manager is new and she's bossy and she lashed out at me yesterday. Heck, she even kept glaring at me the rest of the day yesterday. I don't exactly know what happened but she thought I was one of the people who work at the bakery. Using my size as her main argument. I'll refer the bakery manager as Rob because he's cool like a Rob. I'm stocking shelves like I am supposed to when my manager comes up to me and asks me why I'm stocking the shelves. This is my job. Then she says, "No, I know all my workers and you don't work here." I asked her what she meant in my usual speech which I am filtering for the Reddit cuz I swear a lot. She told me exactly this with things super quiet. "I saw you working in the bakery." You're one of the bakers. I mean, just look at yourself, you're clearly one of the baker, and there's no way I can miss your working my shelves. Yes, she swore right at me and called me overweight with the 3-letter word. Okay, you insensitive. You went on my case for not doing work the way you want me to all day yesterday, and you just blurted out exactly how you see me right in front of over a dozen people and the bakery manager. Most of those people have been seeing me work since I got the job. So she sees Rob standing there a little confused, and then she started railing at him about keeping his workers in his department instead of getting in the way at hers. I tried to get back to work, then she tells me to stay put or she'll get me fired. Yeah, okay, you threatened to do that yesterday for not doing my job the way you want me to. And then Rob and my coworkers come up to tell her I don't work at the bakery, but she starts railing at them until security escorted her out for disturbing customers and almost assaulting her workers she's responsible for. By disturbing customers I mean getting in their faces for trying to ask her to calm and quiet down. If anyone knows exactly what happened, please let me know, because even now I'm completely confused and I'm almost done my shift. I'm on break as I write this. Update. I got to work an hour ago. I'm on lunch break. RN. HR is thoroughly investigating her, and Rob told me that she has a record of using IDK if I should be concerned, but I'm told not to expect to be working for or with her ever again. The next story is titled, Sir, this is a public transportation office. So, I work in a public transportation office. We give information about buses, trains, and trams in a certain region of the country, and we also sell tickets. Now, important fact, this office is right next to an insurance company. And when I say right next to, I mean if you don't know about it, it's rather easy to think it's just the insurance company. So, I'm having a rather boring and slow shift when an older gentleman, G, walks in. From the door, I already hear him say, "My, this place is pretty easy to miss." I greet him as he comes in and he just starts talking about his car. I thought nothing about it because older folk here sometimes just want to talk to someone. So I just listened and nodded. Gee, anyway, I would like to ask about something about insurance for my car. Me, I think there was a misunderstanding, sir. This is a public transportation office. The insurance company is next door. He took a good look around again, finally seeing all the travel-related stuff plastered on the walls. People somehow always miss those. Gee, oh, I apologize. But you look like you would be able to help me anyway. He laughed, said goodbye, and went next door. It really brightened my day. The next story is titled, I Don't Work Here Lady. Oh, after entertaining myself with several of your I Don't Work Here Lady stories, I decided to send you my own. This happened a number of years ago in a Walmart in the city where I served as a paramedic. You might think that this story involves a Karen, as the majority of the stories seem to do, but this one has a rare twist, and no Karen. One afternoon, on a day that I was not in uniform, I went into the local Walmart to do some shopping, just pick up a few things that I needed for the week. I was wearing jeans and a plain white t-shirt with some athletic shoes, obviously not anything related to the store. Upon entering the store, I headed straight for the back of the store where the restrooms were located because I had some brief business to conduct there. As I entered the restroom, I headed for the urinals intending to put one of them to good use, but noticed that one of them was overflowing onto the floor. I decided to skirt around that wet floor area, and instead use one of the regular toilets. After finishing my previously mentioned business, I again skirted around the increasingly expanding wet floor area and made my way to the sink. After dutifully washing my hands, I exited the restroom and spotted a young Walmart employee in her blue vest walking by, and I stopped her. She appeared to be about 19 and fresh-faced. I said, "Excuse me, but one of the urinals in the men's restroom is overflowing and the floor is getting wet." To which she replied very sincerely, "What do you want me to do?" I responded, I don't really know. I guess whatever it is that you do when a urinal is overflowing." At this I turned to walk away, but she caught my elbow and repeated, "What do you want me to do?" Now we both stood looking at each other with confused looks on our faces. Then I said, "I don't know what your procedure is for overflowing toilets, but I expect you might want to ask a manager if you don't know." Then she said, "But you are the manager." I assured her that I was not the manager and that I didn't work at Walmart, and I was only there to do a little shopping and had stopped to use the restroom before picking up a few things. It was clear that she didn't believe me because she said, "But I saw you in the meeting this morning." I said, "Well, that's not possible because I was not here this morning and I haven't been to any meetings here because I don't work here." She insisted that she had seen me in the meetings that same day in the morning and that I had spoken to the employees. It began to dawn on me that she must be a new employee and that one of the managers apparently bore some resemblance to me. After a few more moments of me denying any association to Walmart, I turned and walked away, but I could see by her expression that she was not convinced. I continued on, bought my things and left, thinking, why was she so convinced that I was a Walmart manager? I of course thought that this was just a case of mistaken identity by a new employee who obviously didn't know the manager very well and that it would never happen again. But it became apparent about 2 weeks later that I was wrong. So a couple of weeks later I was again entering the same store. I had just walked through the entrance and was passing the service desk when I heard a woman's voice say, "Oh, there he is." I glanced in the direction of the woman at the service desk and she was looking directly at me. I continued walking, but noticed that she was walking straight toward me and smiling. She said, "Hey there, smile when you look at me." At this point I looked around me to be sure that she was talking to me and not to someone behind me. At first I thought that maybe she was someone that I had picked up in the ambulance or someone that I had assisted previously. I know I had a confused look on my face, but I popped on a crazy-looking grin anyway. She continued to approach me, cocking her head from side to side and looking me over until she got almost face to face with me. Then she exclaimed, "Oh my God. You're not my cousin. I'm so sorry, you look like my cousin. He's a manager here." I said, No. I'm not your cousin, but nice to meet you anyway." We talked for a few minutes and I relayed the story about the bathroom that had happened a couple of weeks earlier and we had a laugh. On other visits to that store, I tried to keep my eye out for my doppelganger but never saw him. I figured if I could fool his cousin, we must look a lot alike, but I never saw the fella. The next story is titled Professional Costco Cart Watcher. One day I was shopping at Costco and while I was leaving the pharmacy area and near the registers, a man walks over to me and asked me if I could watch his cart. He told me that he had to go to the bathroom real fast and didn't want someone to take his cart away with his supplies in it. Apparently, he was concerned with employees either putting his groceries away, or other customers taking what he had already gotten. He didn't want to walk all over the store, finding everything again. I originally thought he confused me for a worker and before I had a chance to say much, he turned away and went to the bathroom. Me being the people pleaser that I am, and quite confused at the time, kind of just stood there looking at the cart. Over the next several minutes I had multiple thoughts run through my head. I thought I was possibly being tested, teased, set up in one way or another. I even looked around wondering if I was on camera. Finally the man returned, thanked me, then went on his way. I still wonder why he picked me of all people and if he does this often. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.